Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this very important uh, event and a conference. And it's a very timely one for consumer electronics in India. Uh, when you walk around this conference hall, I'm sure you'd have noticed a host of international brands and some Indian brands definitely showing here. So I think this event is essentially an attempt to see what else can be done to take consumer electronics to the next level. I think in that sense, it's an important conference for all of us to be here. Thank you for your time and patience. And before we begin the discussion with the panel, esteemed panel here, I have a very quick 2-3 slides to show you all why are we even having this conference and what is needed and what is the need for a conference like this. So very quickly, for you all to understand the whole base of what we are talking here, when we look at the whole consumer electronics business globally, we are talking of close to about $700 billion of consumer electronics business worldwide, reaching about 1.2 trillion by 2030, as per various industry sources. So that's the huge market landscape we are talking about. And when we look at the major consumer electronic products and see the penetration of these products in India, India ranks way below many of those global companies and even below the global average. So that is something for all of us to bear in mind, that the consumption in the country is very low while the global market is a huge one. So we are talking of across all products, we would be close to nearly half of the global average. I'm not even competing with the top countries, but the global average, we are nearly half of the global average in most products. So there is a definite need to increase the domestic consumption of consumer electronics and then look at the global market as such. And within electronics, if you see, the electronics manufacturing in the country has grown tremendously in the last 10 years, thanks to various efforts by the government and the industry together. It has grown close to 15% CAGR in the last 10 years. And the segments like mobile manufacturing and all have essentially driven this. But if you see in this chart, the red color is the consumer electronics manufacturing. And that is not in pace with the overall electronics manufacturing in the country. And therefore, we need to put an effort on this industry segment and try and see what else can be done here. Very quickly, this is the last point I want to make before I get into the panel. If you look at the global trade, countries which are exporting consumer electronics, India has got a very negligible presence. We are talking of course, China is understood. It's a global leader dominating at 54 billion. But look at countries like Poland, Thailand, Vietnam, Slovakia. These countries and all are nearly 10x of more than what India is currently exporting in consumer electronics. So I think we definitely have a huge room to play, not just for the domestic market, but for the global market. So that is where with this background, I begin my discussions here. Thank you all for your time and patience. We have a very esteemed panel here. I'll first begin to the gentleman to my left, Mr. Tripathi sir. You represent the government here. Let me start from you first and then go to the other members. Very recently, the government of India announced the whole ECMS scheme, a very ambitious scheme for components, which is a long-awaited policy. How do you think this component manufacturing policy will enable the value addition to happen more in the country, and how do you see the response from the industry?
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers and my fellow panelists and the esteemed guests for being here in this event. Mr. Devendrath asked about the ECMS response under the ECMS scheme. Prior to the response under the ECMS scheme, I want to tell about how the scheme has been designed. First of all, you have to understand that when you will break any electronics system, any electronics part you will consider of, it will goes in the consumer electronics or strategic. When you will break, then you will see not a very much components are there. I'll talk about the transistor. This same transistor can be used as a amplifier. It can be used as a switch. It can be used as an amplifier, an attenuator, or oscillator. It has a various applications. The main thing, it depends on the designing of the product, how you are designing. So while designing this scheme, we have analyzed all sectors of electronics. What is the consumer, what is the industrial, what is the need for the medical, what is the need for the mobile, what is the need for the ID hardware. And we have done more than 100 stakeholder consultation. We visited the factory and we see how the manufacturing is going to take place. So accordingly, we have analyzed the disability being faced by the individual uh, uh, components. Accordingly, we have designed this scheme. So the scheme has been designed in such a manner that it covers whole of the electronics ecosystem. Whole of the electronic system, even it also include the supply chain. What are the parts and components that is being used in the sub-assemblies or bare component, that is also covered under this scheme. And apart from that, we have also included capital equipment. So definitely this scheme is a very strategic scheme, and it is going to play a very critical role in developing the component ecosystem in the country. And first of all, I would also like to congratulate you. We are getting a very good response from the industry. We have received many applications in all of the target segments of the scheme, and we had not received any application from any only Indian entity or a foreign entity. We have received application from the Indian entity. We have received from the SMEs. We have received application from the global companies. We have received application from the joint ventures. Some of the Indian companies has also done the technology transfer with the global companies, and they has also applied under this scheme. So the scheme response from the industry is very good, and it is going to play a very critical role in developing the component ecosystem.
Fantastic, very interesting, and and heartening to know that the scheme has received a huge response, and we hope that this really leads to the value addition which is required to be done in the electronics manufacturing in the country. Pranjal, if I can come to you, Pranjal, you represent one of the most ambitious brands of India, Boat. So, and Boat is just not a national brand; it's an international brand. It's world's number one or two brand in wearables. So, could you tell the audience about how you went on to create this brand, and what can companies in other consumer electronics in India, other Indian brands, can learn from your journey?
Dave, thanks a lot for your very kind words, and ICA, thanks for inviting us here and for organizing this fantastic event here. So, if I were to talk of Boat in our segment, Dave, as you mentioned, we are the world's second largest brand by volume, right? And we take a lot of pride in that. And this is there are various factors which have gone into building this and in enabling where we are and in getting the customer love that we get. I would probably name three things that stand out. One is just the I mean, for us, whatever we do, right? Customer is the middle and center of everything, and whatever we make, whatever we design, is absolutely customized for the customer segment. So just to make it real, for our audio products, right, we have something called a noise cancellation feature, and we are almost the first ones who have customized that noise cancellation feature for Indian noise conditions, which is very different from a European noise condition or a Chinese noise condition and so on, right? Second, again, to give an example, right? We are mostly a hot and a humid country through the year, which means more sweat, right? And again, our products are custom built and designed to manage that level of humidity and that level of tolerance is there from our products. So all products that we have, right, are absolutely custom built for the market conditions, and that enables the customer love. So that's one. Second is we absolutely obsess about quality, and we ensure that we are delivering products that are built to last while delivering fantastic performance. And again, it has taken a lot to be able to deliver this on this customer promise. Some elements are like every component which goes into our product is thoroughly vetted by us, and we use some of the best in class components that go into our products. So for example, the batteries that we use are thoroughly stress tested, and continuous surprise checks keep happening on our batteries. uh, 80% plus of our products are made in India, and both for Indian as well as for products that some products that we import, right? Very thorough quality checks. We've invested a lot in terms of quality checks on our products, and built testing labs where these products are stress tested in extreme conditions to make sure that they comply with the usage that they are subject to. And the third and very critical component, again linked to how we deliver on a customer promise, is really around localization, where we have taken that extremely seriously. And as I mentioned, 80% plus of our products are made in India. We are now also looking to get into the subcomponent supply chain to have more control on our supply chain. And because we have such a high degree of localization, that also helps us deliver a very agile supply chain, which is much more immune to the supply shocks that some of these consumer electronic supply chains are subject to. And some of these shocks are very hard to predict. But given our localization, we are extremely robust in our customer promise and customer delivery, and that enables the customer love and the high customer NPS that we have.
Brilliant. So I can summarize essentially three important things you looked at. One is understanding your customer. Second is making sure the quality is world standards, and third is localization. These were the three broad mantras, if I may use your mantra. But I'm sure somewhere Boat is also known for its innovation. I'm sure it played a huge role in also creating the brand, what it stands for, right?
Absolutely. So just linked to the first point, right? In terms of customer understanding, right? What we look to do is to meet both the stated as well as the unstated needs of the customer. We listen carefully to customer feedback, look to keep innovating on that, and meet the stated needs of the customer. Our products keep getting upgrades in line with the best in class technology, and as technology evolves, we make it available to our customers. And a lot of time it's a stated need, and several times it's also the unstated need of the customer, which we are able to understand based on customer behavior, based on global trends, and again innovate to get those products and offerings to customer. So just for example, beyond our core segments of hearables and wearables, we keep expanding into newer segments. We have launched a whole range of accessories, launched the fitness ring, launched the AirTags equivalent, or the boat kind of boat tags or trackers, right? And multiple new offerings which will come in the market soon from us. Again, focused on consumer electronics, and in helping meet the needs of consumers with best in class made in India products.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I'll come back to you again. Saket, you represent Elista, one of the fastest growing brands in India in consumer electronics. And I think you're also one of the youngest brands. if I understand, from the Indian market conditions, and also globally, you're now expanding. How has been your journey? How did you create this brand so fast in the Indian market as well as in the global market? What has been your journey all about?
So, first of all, I would like to thank you for giving us this opportunity to be here and speak in front of you all. Yes, Elista is an entrant brand. We are just 5 years old in the industry. Though the people who launched this brand are into this industry for over 20 years, and I myself, associated with consumer electronics business in international market for over 25 years now. So Elista was started in India, focusing few things, and the main points which I'm going to tell today is the approach of a brand to Indian market. So we started our business in 2020. This brand was developed and the inception was done in 2020. The first thing that we took was to knock the right door. We did not want to create hype, we want to create numbers. So we targeted the rural market. We went to tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 cities in India. We understood the requirement of a product. We understood the service part which was not being done by other brands in the rural market, because if you see, there's a huge gap of quality in service between urban and the rural market. So an urban buyer gets a better service on the same product, and if the same amount is being paid by a rural customer, he is getting a bit inferior quality of service. So we worked very hard on equalizing that. So the focus was rural market, and that is where we started with. The brand is present all across India today, and within a span of 5 years, we have managed to bring this brand to almost 15,000 plus counters all across India, in rural India. Apart from that, because of the group company which operates from Dubai, we were able to bring Elista to 18 countries in this 5 years using our sales channel, which is in distribution and re-export business from Dubai. Second part, what we understood in Elista is there's a very thin line gap between invention and innovation. We do not believe in reinventing the wheel. For example, washing machine was invented in 1850, 175 years back. Then the first electric washing machine was invented in early 1900. Television was invented probably 100 years ago. For last 100 years, we have seen the innovations in this category of products. So from black and white TV to a flat screen to color TV to projection, plasma, LCD, LED, smart LED, and so on. So there has been innovations, and most of the brands disconnect over here because they want to reinvent television, which is not the fact. So we believe that a category of product cannot be reinvented. It's better we focus on innovating our product. For example, recently I was discussing somewhere about our innovation, which is under discussion, and we are working on that. We are planning to use smart TV and CCTV camera at one product. So we'll just add a camera and a storage device within the smart TV with a very small impact on the costing and feature, and consumer can avail a smart TV while he's out of his house. This smart TV can be used as a CCTV camera. So without putting additional gadget in your house, we bring such kind of innovation to the customer. Secondly, we do not want to impose a design which was created in Japan, Korea, or China to the Indian consumers. We should have our own design. So the product must be designed as per the requirement of Indian consumers. As our colleague from board just now said, that they are working on product which is specific to Indian market. Similarly, we also see in our range of products, the design, the product which is developed is not actually for the Indian consumers, it is imposed on Indian consumers. So this is one trend wherein we wanted to bring the change, and we are working on that. The third is, the balance between right product, features, and the pricing. and you know, consumer is not willing to pay if you add additional feature, and if it is of no use, then there is no use to put those features, because every feature in any gadget comes with a cost. So we have a very right balance between the product and the pricing. We want to bring a very high quality product to the consumer at a very, very affordable price. The fourth, there are many, you know, things that has helped Elista to reach 18 countries and to almost 15,000 plus counters all across India, but I'll be highlighting few of them. Fourth is, you know, I believe we had a very, very initial plan when we started in 2020. From 2020 to 2025, in last 5 years, we have managed to create the demand for this brand, because we started from scratch. It's a toddler brand with no demand from the market. So in last 5 years, we have managed to create the demand for this brand. The next 5 years, we are going to be investing into the manufacturing. And that again, all the manufacturing base will be in India only. We started with our first project in Andhra Pradesh, which is now operational from last month. So we started our smart TV manufacturing unit in Andhra, which will be producing smart TVs, you know, other display solutions like monitors, gaming monitors, and so on. The next 5 years, we will see investing in other manufacturing units, which dominates our categories. So Elista, from the beginning, did not want to be 100% OEM or ODM brand. We wanted to have our own exclusivity in the market, and the coming 5 years will see our, you know, our change in strategy of getting into manufacturing. So again, a little bit different from other manufacturers in India. We want to manufacture for our own in-house brand first of all. So, you know, looking at the manufacturing business today, the biggest problem is consumption for these manufacturers, because they can produce, but who will consume? So for us, we first of all created the consumption within ourselves. So Elista as a brand will consume most of the products that we will be producing, and the rest we will be offering to the international market as well. And Elista as a brand, you know, from the beginning, even the tagline says that making in India for the world. So we did not want this brand to be present only across domestic market in India. We are very much working to taking it to the rest of the world as well.
Thank you so much. Very encouraging to see the growth of your brand, and I think we need more Elistas in consumer electronics business. Project G, if I can come to you, you are somebody who is very different than most of the people here. You represent the capital markets, as well as you are also part of ICR's Venture Access Lab. So my first question to you is, how does the whole finance sector look at electronic sector in India currently? And could you speak more about what does Venture Access Lab is all about? What do you do there? What are your interests here?
You know, the data, Devendranath, that you shared was quite telling. I mean, if we are so low in terms of the global trade, I think obviously there's a lot of headroom for growth, not just in domestic markets, but globally as well. But even if you look at, say, for example, our domestic markets, we are currently a 4 trillion economy. If we have to go to a 10 trillion economy, our rural markets will become a 4 trillion, you know, market. So, you know, to the kind of, you know, products that Elista and, you know, companies like Boat, etc. are doing, and penetrating into beyond the tier, you know, the first tier cities and stuff like that. I think that's the kind of technologies, those are the kind of concepts that we will be investing in, because we believe that democratizing distribution, optimizing India's supply chain is integral to almost every sector's, especially the manufacturing sector's dominance in the on the global trade. The reason why we created the Venture Access Labs along with ICIA, the reason was very simple. If Indian consumer electronics has to play a significant role in the world, not just individually brilliant companies, but collectively the industry will need to be seen as technologically forward, innovation-led, dependable, reliable. All of that comes with being a technology-first, you know, sector. Now, if you think of China, if you think of Taiwan and almost every other country that you had noted there that is in the top 4 or 5, immediately there's a perception that comes to mind in terms of, okay, these are countries likely to be technologically savvy, and therefore almost everybody gets the benefit of doubt of saying that ye theek hi hoga. And I think there's a long way to go before our country is perceived by the world in that manner. And while there are significantly larger number of companies now in India that are technologically up there, innovation led, really, sort of global standards and all that, I think it's important for the world to see the entire industry as that. Now, the reason we created Venture Access Labs is because we wanted the entire industry to have access to innovation. Individually, it is very hard for companies to find innovations, curate them, pilot them, and then be able to adopt it. And while companies will do their own efforts, it's not a comprehensive effort. And therefore, the Venture Access Labs, which is the innovation discovery platform created by us along with ICA as the main partner, is designed to really help a lot of these electronics companies be able to access comprehensively all the innovations that they can perhaps get to give a competitive advantage. Now, typically when we think of innovation, most of the innovation gets discussed in terms of product innovation. And yes, while product innovation is something that the consumer feels, sees, and that is something that becomes the, sort of face of the company, there's a lot of innovation that can be brought in onto every aspect of the business, whether it is supply chain, whether it is procurement, whether it is logistics, whether it is distribution, it could be marketing, it could be legal, like the way you handle people and so on and so forth. Because what does innovation do? Apart from doing things differently, it brings significant efficiencies and optimization to those processes. And that helps in reducing costs. Now, whether that increases their profitability or whether that allows you to price your products differently, those are competitive advantages. And I'll maybe give you 1 or 2 examples. In the manufacturing sector, it is not just about product innovation that can, can be looked at, but maybe AI in the efforts of designing the product, which allow you, instead of actually simulating all of these in terms of prototypes, which could take a few months and maybe in certain product categories a few quarters, if you use AI for really doing these similar, of course, AI meaning not just generic AI, but solutions that are built specifically for those. And there are companies that are doing that, which can allow you to do the prototyping in a far more rapid environment than what is traditionally done. Now, just imagine what it does. Product development time, at least coming to the last final 2 prototypes, can be cut down from 6 months to maybe a couple of weeks. Now, that kind of innovation, unless it is brought, to a country where hundreds of companies will be able to access that, it is very hard for, say, for example, somebody in Silicon Valley to come and say, "Acha, ek company ke liye let me go and set up an office in India." And therefore, even to be attractive as a sector to global innovators, it is important for us as an industry to come together and have the readiness for absorbing innovation, which is exactly the intent of Venture Access Labs.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. I didn't know about this. I work with ICA very closely, but unfortunately, I did not know that this aspect of access to such a lab is available and this kind of facilities are there. Very interesting. My second question to you is, do you think you saw that huge gap from where India is currently and where the global market is, this, etc.? What else do you think can be done with the companies in India? How can we take them to the next level? Innovation is definitely going to be one part of it, but how else do we get the Indian manufacturing of consumer electronics to the next level? What's your view on that?
I think, especially in hardware products, everything boils down to supply chain and the value chain optimization. And our entire gamut of supply chain, right from procurement, right from designing, but to procurement, to manufacturing, to distribution, to logistics, warehousing, all of these are areas in which there is a lot of inefficiency that is built into the system. Also, what has happened is that because earlier businesses were, you had far lesser number of stakeholders. Now the number of, and therefore when you have far lesser number of stakeholders, You can do business on phone, WhatsApp, email, इस पे चल जाता था. But now with, say, for example, distribution opening up in the way it has done, quick commerce, e-commerce, multi-channel, omni-channel, all of those kinds of things, the number of stakeholders that need to be synchronized and orchestrated has increased significantly. And therefore, unless there is a technology-enabled orchestration layer, it is going to be almost difficult for anybody to do things efficiently. For example, in the absence of technology, if I was participating in say, e-commerce, I would dump a lot more inventory into all of their, fulfillment centers, because I don't know kahan se khatam hoga, kya nahi khatam hoga. But if I had a technology layer which could allow me to do, sort of quick deliveries as and when required, I will be able to optimize my inventory significantly better. All of this adds to the bottom line and the ability, therefore, of the company to invest that capital that they save in other things. Now, that mindset, when we start getting into the industry, I think overall it raises the bar of the industry significantly. But to your point, in terms of both those gaps, whether it is our penetration of some of those categories, ACs I saw was 9% and stuff like that, or in the global world where our position is small. Now, if you look at the domestic world, I see that as a huge opportunity. I mean, that is such a significant level to go. It is not that our consumer goods manufacturers were not wanting to service rural markets, but there was no cost-efficient way of servicing these fragmented markets effectively. Now we have. Technology allows you to be able to service these markets effectively, and on the global scale, for example, given the global dynamics with where China is and overall, India will have to be seen by the world as a sourcing destination, and that's where our opportunity lies. It's like in cricketing terms, how they say this is a game for us to lose.
Brilliant, sir. Thank you so much. Pranjal, if I can come to you, having established a board as a brand and reaching the number 2 position in the world, what are the challenges you have faced, and what are the challenges which the other consumer electronic companies face in India to scale up, manufacture, and export?
So I think some of the points linked to what the speakers have already, yes, some of the points linked to what the speakers have already covered here, right? See, as you go to more markets, right, the level of customer intimacy that you have in your home market, right, you need to multiply that at scale, and that's easier said than done. So if I were to take a cue from our own journey also, right? I mean, what we have been very thoughtful of as we've expanded globally is to follow the Indian diaspora route, and it opens up fairly large markets, and that's an obvious route that we have taken, because we do benefit from the halo effect of our strong brand in India with the diaspora outside. So that has been one big learning, that be very thoughtful of which markets you want to go and operate in, versus a bit of a spray and pray approach, which may not be the best way to think about global expansion. Second, it boils down a lot to the robustness of your supply chain and how you are able to service the markets, because we manufacture in India for India and the world, and but the fulfillment times, the robustness of supply chain for international markets, meeting local compliance requirements in other markets, which may be different from India. All these become important. So that is again something that as brands from India go global, they have to be mindful of, and be very thoughtful. And the third, Dev, again to your point, which you had mentioned, right, around innovation. So how do you keep innovating, serving customers, out innovating others, and that is again the quite central to what we do. So while I mentioned we are looking at new categories, enhanced offerings within within our current products, right? And also looking at various technology trends. We all keep hearing of AI. A lot of us have used chat GPT kind of equivalent things, right? But the world will soon move to what is called the agentic AI, where AI will start doing activities for you in the real world, and that is again something that that we are very cognizant of. We'll probably be one of the first ones to integrate that within our product, where you can speak to your TWS and get things done for yourself. Again, the power of partnerships leading to innovation, that is something which helps us differentiate and win customers and get customer love both in India and abroad.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. Very quickly, Saket, one last question to you. What are the challenges you faced in your journey, which I'm sure is very similar to the other consumer electronic companies? What were the key challenges?
See, if we talk about our international business, the complete ecosystem in India is not prepared today to serve to the international market. Although geographically we are one of the best, located country to cater to the West, the logistics supply chain cost, if I just compare from China to Dubai and India to Dubai, is almost 25%, is 75% cheaper. So India has got all the abilities in terms of location, the supply chain ease, the transit time, which is again very, very critical in our business. So if transit time from China to Middle East is 40 days, from India to Middle East is 7 days only. So all these points, collected together gives us a motivation to get into international market. But what we need to do is we have to come out of our comfort zone. See, I feel very sorry to say that the brands present in India for over 50, 60, 70 years are not known in the international market. For them, the international market used to be India, Pakistan, not Pakistan, probably Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal. This is the international business. So that comfort of being at home should be avoided now. We, as an entrant brand, took this challenge and we encroached into Middle East, Africa, and Central Asia region. Yes, one of the reasons why we were able to do that is because of our own, distribution channel present in those countries. But then at the same time, we need other manufacturers and other brands also from India to come out of their comfort zone and look into the international market. So, if we divide into two phases, the first phase was independent domestic manufacturing. We are through with that. Almost all the categories in consumer electronics is now being produced locally in India. So the first part is done. Second part is, until and unless we do not get into the international market, our buying will not be strong, thus not giving the advantage on the pricing. So what China does today is, China buys for the domestic market as well as for the international market. So they have a very strong buying capacity, which India doesn't have as on date. So the need of any Indian brand, getting into international market is a must have for us. And yes, we as brands or business houses look at government bodies to be as competitive as other countries. So when we see countries like Slovakia, Poland, all these countries are smaller than a state in India. But then why they are so prosperous in manufacturing is because of the government support that they get from. So this is what we are looking at, the government, and at the same time other brands present in India to come out of the, yes, we have to be in domestic market, but we cannot simply ignore the international market.
Sure. Thank you. I think you have given me the cue for the last question, which is looking at the government support. Tiwary ji, since you represent Mighty here, and when we look at manufacturing activities, it is either reduced to getting technology transfers to the country or looking at developing indigenous technologies. In your policy framework, how do you balance these two aspects? And also, if you can also add, what are we doing for getting in more tie-ups from companies like Japan, Taiwan, South Korea, etc.?
So our policy framework is mainly around how we will develop the ecosystem. How we will develop the ecosystem. The major things ki, for in electronics manufacturing, you have to understand the whole ecosystem. How any country grows in the electronics manufacturing, how they become a leader today. So initially, any company start with the manufacturing of finished product, then they engage in the manufacturing of sub-assemblies, bare component. If all these happens, then country enters into the R&D and product design. When I'm talking about the consumer electronics today, BOT is doing R&D, Elista is doing R&D. It means in consumer electronics, we have reached that phase where we have the ecosystem and we have the manufacturing. Now we are entering into R&D and product development. For electronics, when I'll talk about the mobile prospect or IT hardware prospect, you should understand that in electronics, without technology, you can't do anything. The capital is less important than the technology. So, from government point of view, I will always love that all the technology should be indigenous. But currently, what can we do or not? So, government is always looking at a holistic view. We have to support the ecosystem. If the Indian company has the indigenous technology, we will love to do that. But if he is not, we don't have the indigenous technologies, then we are ready to. They are ready. They should ready to joint venture with the foreign entities in this. First of all, you should also understand the government will not enter into the manufacturing. The growth shall only be driven by the industry. So what the industry want to do, the government is going to handhold you. It is not a matter ki you have your own technology or you want to tie up with any technology. So our main focus is towards around the developing the ecosystem.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. With that, I think we have overshot our time, but I'll just take one or two more questions if anybody from the audience wishes to ask. Otherwise, we can wind this up. Any questions from anyone for anybody in the panel?
Just to add for a minute, that hand-holding
Meanwhile,
part is
can
very
we get
important.
a mic there, please?
You definitely need to handhold, businesses like ours. Then only we can take it to the next level.
I assure you, any industry person, you randomly can take any industry person and you can take the feedback of meeting. How
Absolutely,
the
absolutely.
meeting aggressive.
Yeah. I can vouch for that. We have seen the different government departments over the years, but I think MIT is one of the most industry-friendly government bodies I've seen.
No, definitely. I also vouch for that. We are also recipient of many PLI schemes. That is there.
Yes. We have a question from the audience, please, and with that, we'll wrap up.
Yeah, hi, my name is Kaushal. I have a question with Mr. Pranjal. You mentioned about having an ecosystem which government is supporting and probably facilitating with. So anything on the AI front, like there are language models by different companies that they have come out with, like China is really going they're doing a lot of things around it. So anything from the government side can we expect in terms of collating and building a large language models or something of that sorts?
We have an AI mission in the ministry and they are looking all of these things.
So any specific models that you are working on which helps companies
they have developed some GPU models, but I do not look after that. So I can't give the exact answer of these questions. If you have exactly your query, you write to me.
Okay.
I'll forward it to the concerned person.
Sure. Thank you so much.
And I also want to urge to the industry one thing. Mainly for the Indian companies, you should be competitive, but in a healthy manner. But for developing the ecosystem in the background, you should work together. If 2 or 3 manufacturers will come together, they can easily develop any of their supply chain component. Whatever they want. Actually, a story here. Somebody has told me regarding that. ये जो अग्रवाल स्वीट्स जो हम दिल्ली में हर जगह देखते हैं, तो जब स्टार्टिंग में खुले थे तो ऐसा नहीं था कि एवरीबडी इज मेकिंग ऑल देयर स्वीट्स. they have the common warehouse. वहाँ पे जो सारी चीज़ें बनती थी और वो सारा का सारा डिस्ट्रीब्यूट होता था. If our industry will also work in that manner, so that will also help in developing the ecosystem.
Thank you so much, sir. With that note, we end this discussion. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. I think your views were most important. Thank you so much. And Ashish, thank you for inviting us. We appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Devendranath, to all our speakers for that engaging discussion on resilience, sustainability, and innovation-led competitiveness. Thank you so much. And now we move on to felicitate the distinguished panelists of this session. I would again request Mr. Vaibhav Sharma to felicitate our dignitaries. Can we please have you on the stage, Mr. Sharma? Can we have a loud round of applause for him? Mr. Rashmi Rathi Tiwary ji, Scientist D, Ministry of Electronics and IT, Government of India. Mr. Pranjal Jain, Head of Manufacturing and Supply Chain, Boat Lifestyle. Zordar taaliyan ho jaye, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Saket Gaurav, Chairman and Managing Director, Elista and TeknoDome. Mr. Project Roth, Co-founder and Managing Partner, Carrot Capital. Mr. A.N. Devendranath, CEO, Feedback Advisory. A heartfelt thank you to all of you for your remarkable contributions. Thank you so much.